Hello, everyone. If you guys are tuning in live, welcome. If not, give us a shout out. Let us know you're watching later on. I am joined with Kyle Ford. I am Ben Jacobson. This is the Shoot Your Shot Photo Show. And yeah, we're just hanging out. Tonight we had originally planned to do like a regular stream. This is actually going to be kind of our first inaugural stream, if you will. And I had some plans for it. I had kind of some plans to actually do a test call earlier in the week, and we had all this stuff going on, and it was on the 6th, and as many of you know, America kind of shit the bed that day, so I was,
Not saying it lightly.
yeah, I was down at our local state capitol photographing kind of a local protest as it was happening, and that kind of just derailed most of the rest of the week, and so yeah, we're gonna wing it today, and we're just gonna hang out and a few things we figured we'd talk about. But yeah, I'm glad we got to do this again. We tried it a little bit a couple weeks ago, and we're just kind of getting things figured out. I'm glad that we can do this again.
Yeah, man. Like it's crazy. I saw your photos from that protest. They were great. I was like, oh man. Like I was like had to look at the Capitol building. I was like, wait, what state is he in? Because they all kind of look the same sometimes.
Yeah,
With
for
the
sure.
cool dome and stuff. But I was like, seems like it happened every state. Like we had some here in Utah. I was like, oh man, it's getting wild everywhere.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least. I was just working actually. I didn't even realize it was happening until the morning of, and then I was just at my office here, and it's actually just like a block away.
Yeah.
And so I was just planning on taking a lunch break and like wandering down there with my camera. I was like, oh, we've been watching a bunch of like documentary photographer stuff lately. Like, I'll get out there and like I didn't really think anything of it. Like I've photographed like protests and stuff before, and yeah, it was bizarre because while I was out there, they kind of came over their loudspeaker or whatever, and were like, "We just got word that we've we've taken over the Capitol," and
What?
like
That's
I
wild.
was like so out of the loop for it. Like I didn't know like what their whole plan or like that there was like a big giant rally happening in DC. Like I hadn't been paying that close of attention to it.
Right.
And so like when I heard that as I was like photographing everything, I was like, okay, I don't know what the hell that means. Like
Yeah. You're like, what do you
I was like,
mean?
I this Capitol? Like I don't think
Yeah.
so. Like I'm standing outside, no one's doing that. And then yeah, I didn't realize that it like kind of what was going on until after the fact, and I kind of was walking back at like it was like 1 p.m. local here, so it was like
Yeah.
at like 30, 45 minutes into it, and I was like, oh, yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, dude. Like I was sitting in a meeting and was like, we are kind of going over stuff that wasn't pertinent to me at the time, and I was just kind of like looking at Twitter, and I was like, wait, what's happening? That's that doesn't seem right. And then it just like escalating, and like the meeting finally ends, and I was like, oh my god, you guys, hold on, I didn't want to derail the meeting, but everybody needs to look at this. And they were like, oh, pulled it up on the computer, and everyone was like, that's not real, and I was like, oh, it's real, and it was like peaking right then, and it was like they're like there's gunshots and everybody's like trying to figure out like what's actually happening. And I was like, dude, this is like history
wild.
happening live, and like information travels so fast now that like we knew instantly.
Yeah,
Like that's a new thing, which is kind of crazy.
yeah. I mean, I was even talking to my fiance, like, so I was, she was at work and I was at work as well, and I was just glued to my like second monitor was just up like with a live stream all day.
Oh
And
yeah, I was worthless the rest of the day, man. I
it's
was trying to focus. That's not happening.
it's like I try to like limit myself on my news intake just because I find myself like doom scrolling where you're just like constantly just refreshing and
Yeah.
just reading all of the chaos that's happening, and it's like it's hard to keep up with that. And so I normally try to like limit myself to like, okay, just check it like once or twice a day, maybe at the most. But like yes, or on the 6th, I should say, I was just like I'm giving myself a full pass to witness
Totally.
whatever the hell is about to happen because it was wild. Like it was really
Yeah.
crazy just to watch everything happen real time, just unfolding.
It was
through
crazy, yeah.
like
Like everybody was just like trying to process it all at once, and you're just like, dang, man, like we're gonna like they're gonna study this for decades
yeah.
if we survive.
And and I mean on top of that, like the other thing that's also unprecedented, like pulling it back to photography a little bit, is like the amount of like coverage is insane. Because like
Yeah,
if you think about it, like every single one of those people, and I saw an interesting article that was talking about like how so many people were like posting on their own social medias, and they were getting content for their social media
yeah.
and like
I mean,
that's
like half of the people that were doing it were like doxing themselves right live, you know,
dude,
and I'm like, what?
that's
Why
the
would you
part
do
that
that?
blows me away. Like you yeah, doxing is a crime. Like
Right.
if you leak someone's information with ill intent or like something like that, like that's a crime. Yet like they're like, hey, look, like here's my face. Like
This is me. I'm doing this thing. Here's proof. Like, what?
I was reading, I was reading a couple photographer accounts of the Capitol building, like storming of the Capitol building, and there was one of them, an article I was reading, and it was a former a war photographer who was
Mm-hmm.
embedded with the group,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like he was going through and his account as well as another photographer that produced a bunch of like the really notable ones that Getty has now um, were they both commented they're like it was bizarre because these people were not intimidated at all by the fact that I was taking their photo. He's
No.
like one of the lines to some degree he was saying you always have some sort of um, hesitancy that people aren't going to want to be photographed when you approach them. And he's
Yeah.
like, especially at a protest, especially at a riot, and like, especially when they're committing a crime. But he's like, these
Right.
people, like, they either didn't notice me, didn't care, like some mix of both. It's like, man,
Just brazen,
the
totally,
people
yeah.
that were doing it were literally fired like within like 24 hours. It's
Dude, that
like,
one dude had a work badge on. Like, what are you
yeah,
doing?
uh, yeah, and it's like I understand like I think there's a lot of mentality behind that where it's like hey I'm look how like tough I am or like you have like this approach where it's like oh like I don't care like I this is patriotic and it's like to a degree like
Right.
I don't like I understand where you can come from but like being Braveheart and like smashing in some windows like probably isn't really gonna get your point across very well like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially at like the Capitol. Like, that's just go to jail, directly to jail, do not pass go.
Yeah. Oh man, it was bizarro. But yeah,
Yeah,
so,
I had a couple friends there. It was cool. Like, I mean,
really,
I was worried for them, but like one guy was shooting for Rolling Stone. Like, guy I
no
met
way.
up in Seattle shooting protests up there. And like he's made it pretty big doing like political coverage. And then like a guy I used to shoot like with on Wildfire. He was like a news guy. He shoots for Reuters. I think that's how you say that. And they both were just like MIA for like hours, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope they're okay. And then
Damn.
like had a huge photo dump or article like drop finally, and like I was just like, oh man, I'm glad they're all right. That was nuts.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably the most uncomfortable portion about what I photographed because I'm in Idaho, which is obviously a very conservative state, but I'm in our capital city, Boise, which is relatively liberal. So it's like we're kind of
Right.
middle of the road in a lot of senses. So like it wasn't anything like there was massive crowds or anything or like that. I mean, people open carrying firearms I think is silly, but it doesn't necessarily intimidate me a massive amount.
Right. Like
But
it's something
like
like you would see day to day probably.
I mean like yeah, that's I get it. It's whatever. But like the thing that was the thing that was like in like kind of scary to me was like you like when you start seeing like the people that are like storming the Capitol, like if they're wearing their work badge, it's like how well did you think this out? Like how well did
Yeah.
you think this through?
Not
And
at
it's
all.
like there's zero thought. And like one of the most telling photos I got from the day was literally a guy holding a sign that said I'm confused, I'm angry, and I'm armed. And it's like,
Yeah. Like
dude,
you're like, wait, what?
this is like the whole summation of like this movement. It's like that
Yeah.
seems like a recipe for disaster. Like
Yeah,
that
right.
doesn't
Like,
seem
are
good.
you saying you're disoriented and you have a firearm, sir?
Basically. And I mean, like that was the point I was going to make earlier. Is the probably the one aspect of it that made me uncomfortable was just the fact of I had a camera, um,
Right.
because this particular group is like so anti-media
For
in
sure.
any degree. Like that would be where I'd be most concerned for your friends that were at the nation's capital, like photographing and documenting
Hmm.
that is like they're hostile towards media in general. Like,
Totally.
let
By
alone like
design,
if
right?
you don't necessarily have the same like political beliefs, like that could even be an additional factor to take into consideration. And
Totally.
so it's just like all of that. I mean, that was probably the most uneasy aspect of it for me. But man, just seeing what a lot of the other like photographers and stuff were capturing of like the scenes inside the nation's capital was like I can't imagine being there. Like that would
Yeah.
be crazy.
It's scary. Yeah.
Because I mean, when you look at in retrospect, I think it was interesting. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, it's just broken windows and like a couple people got hurt. Like worse things have happened, which I think is a short-sighted way of seeing it. But it was also very interesting to me that um, it's like, well, if you're in that moment and you're just like going about your business, like, could you imagine? Like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, if I'm sitting at my desk right here and
Yeah.
like I know that there's a protest a block away and I hear people smashing in doors, like I'm thinking the worst. Like I'm
Totally.
thinking they're gonna kill me for sure. And
Yeah.
like,
Like angry mob coming in the building. Like
yeah,
you have no idea what's gonna happen.
yeah, bizarre. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, with photographing protests and stuff, typically people are kind of expecting that, and so that was one aspect that I was a little surprised by. Was just like for the most part, there was a general openness to people being photographed, and I even asked a handful of people if I was cool to photograph them because I was a little worried about it, and they were
Yeah.
fine with it. And it's hard to get past that intimidation factor to some degree when you're like, okay, it because it feels like I wouldn't want to be photographed doing this, and so therefore like you just assume everyone else wouldn't, and I got to get past that. It's hard to like change my perspective on that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, like it's like street photography to the most extreme example, right?
Yeah, perfect example. Yeah, I mean, with even like an extra dousing of powder keg dynamite on
Yeah.
top, like
Yeah.
just high tensions in general is always an extra little added risk factor for sure.
Totally.
Yeah,
Nice, dude. Well, how's the shoot your shot group going?
good man. So we've just been slowly building things up. We've been doing a 52-week challenge. You just started a 365, right?
I did, yeah. Like I did one in 2012, which was pretty interesting. Just like I really liked seeing a record of something every day, which was kind of cool to like you can literally remember the day you took that shot, which
Yeah.
is kind of cool. But it is a challenge. Like every day, it's like, oh man, I got to take something. Like it was like, is it gonna be my cat? Is it gonna be like, well, I'm stuck here working? So it's like that. Like I remember, like that was a year I was on fires a lot, and a lot of it was just like, here's a picture of my desk because that's literally all I've done today is work 16 hours.
Yeah. How's it going so far this year?
So far, so good. Trying to figure out like what I wanted to do with it. When I started, I was like, oh, I just want to be like intentional with my posting, so I would like post whatever I want, just as long as I post. But then I was like, no, I want to do it like a real 365 project, like take a photo every day or video. Like one of my first ones was a video, like stuff of like that I cut together of Jenna, like the Hobbit, like walking across like the ridge with cool mountains in the
Mm,
background or whatever. Just something silly, but being intentional, like taking video or photo every day, try to like share that. And like not everything will land on the feed. I'm trying to just run it through a story. So it'll have to be like 4 stories or something, like highlights. But
How's that going so far?
it's good. Like I started carrying my camera every day, which is something I haven't done in a long time.
Dude, me either. I keep thinking about that too. I keep thinking I should, and I haven't yet, but I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I finally switched and got a different phone that I am happy with a camera, and I
Yeah,
think that's
same.
changed
Like
a
I
lot
finally
too.
got the 12 Pro, and like it's got like great cameras. It shoots RAW, which is cool. So I'm like, I'm not
Nice.
limiting myself to DSLR only, but like it is a bummer that I don't have my M10 anymore because it's literally the perfect size for stuff like this.
The M10, is that
The
the
Leica, I had the Leica M10 for like it was like their it's like my M3, but like their digital version, like the newest one, I guess. And
nice?
I had that for like about a year, but it was just kind of like, do I really need a $6,000 like
Of course you
fun
do.
camera? Maybe not. So I was trying to pay down some like credit card debt leading into the pandemic because I didn't know if I was going to have a job essentially. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a wise decision if you just got a $6,000 walk around camera. But
yeah,
who am I?
it was a
Who am
bummer,
I to
and I'd
judge?
like to get one again at some point. But like, yeah, it was kind of just like that's a lot of money tied up in just a walk around fun camera. So
Yeah, yeah. I shoot Fuji. We have the XT3s, and
hmm
they're so compact compared to like my old full frame Canon bodies that
yeah, I used to have the X. They see 100S, like the
100S.
OG.
Yeah, that's the
Like
first
I
one I had
loved that
too.
thing, dude.
Man, yeah, that was the one that actually made me fall in love with Fuji cameras. I feel like I've told everyone and their dog, but I bought one off of Ryan Muirhead years
hmm
ago, and like it was just so fun to shoot. Like it felt like I was like looking through like a fighter pilot's viewfinder. Like
Right.
it was like the coolest heads up display because it has that or the hybrid EVF where
hmm
you're seeing like an augmented uh, display uh, on your rangefinder body basically.
Yeah,
It's
that's super
awesome.
cool.
And yeah, ever since then I just really loved a lot of like what Fuji produces, and we got a couple of these XT3s actually.
That's
That's
dope.
actually
I
what I'm
think my
shooting
roommate
on
just
now.
bought one.
What's that?
I think my roommate just bought one of those for this project.
Oh,
Actually, he was
really?
like, "Hey, like I love these like XTs. They're great," and he's had a blast with it.
They're it's changed the way that I shoot. It really has. I know a lot of people say that about when they get new gear, but like it really forced me to change the way that I shoot because it has like these physical dials on top. Like it's like
hmm
literal knobs. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. There's something about that that just kind of like gave me a little bit of that nostalgia for shooting like my uh, Canon AE1 or like my
Totally.
Nikon FM or something. Like you have like these metal click click click, and I don't know,
hmm
having that and like knowing that you lock in like your settings and stuff. There's something different about it where it changed just my general feel, and it's so small. Like I
Yeah.
thought that would actually be an issue, like shooting weddings and stuff, because I'm very much like a tactile person. I have to have like a good weight to it. Like if it's too
Totally.
light, like it feels cheap to me, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
I
I
get
have to
that.
have like a little bit of like just a tiny bit of like heft to it. And I was
Right.
worried that they were going to be too small, but man, after walking around with them for a full day, it's it's so nice not to have, this giant, massive 5D Mark III body or something like that,
Yeah.
where extended battery grip and all that, or vertical grip and all that crap too. Like,
Yep.
it's nice just to lighten your load every once in a while.
Totally. Like our main camera at work is a 1DX, and
Those are
like Mark
beasts.
II, it's a beast. And like there's days I'm like I talked him into getting me a R5 this year so I can like
Those are
lighten
cool.
the kit a little bit for certain things. And it's like, yeah, like the 1DX is a great workhorse camera, and it will continue to be that. But I wanted something a little lighter for our like event coverage and stuff. And then we actually had the GFX 50 and
Those are
just
rad.
traded it in. So sad to see it go, but excited. We just picked up a Phase One IQ4, so I'm super excited on
Nice.
that.
I've never had a chance to play with Phase One. I've always wanted to, and I've never had a chance to mess around with them. The
It's a it's different.
My friend Blake and I keep talking about the GFX series and like the
Hmm.
man, he shoots landscapes, and I mean for what he does, like it would be insane. Like it'd be so
It's
cool to
killer,
get
man.
to see
Yeah.
just those insane high resolution shots of like the sawtooths and stuff out here.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But
Yeah.
I just saw a thing where they were dropping the price pretty low on the new GFXs, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It,
If they had a better glass offering, I think they would have a better chance. But their glass is pretty limited.
it is pretty limited. We had three of their like whatever their glass options were. I don't know if they're Fujinon or whatever,
Hmm.
but they were great. But like, yeah, they're super limited. Like, there's no like, there's not like 14 different makers for like Canon. You could pick up a lens from 13 different makers and be like, oh, this is all pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like we are getting rid of all of our Sigma glass. Like, it's great stuff, but like I'm sick and tired of like taking them apart, and like it keeps doing that thing where like it comes apart in the middle and you have to like tighten the screws, and then it's
Oh,
like, oh,
really?
okay.
That's not good.
Yeah, our 50 does it the most. And it's
Is it
like
the
I
art
was wondering why
lenses?
all my shots were like tilt shifted. I was like, what is happening? Like, there's no way this is a thing. And then like could feel the lens flexing just a little bit. And it's like they're not like the screws aren't locked. Like, I just want to put Loctite on them, so it just like keeps them in there. But like it's an easy fix. I just have to take the whole like middle piece off, and then you just tighten the screws and slap it back together. But I shouldn't have to do that.
Yes, I was just about to say. I was like, but you shouldn't have to.
Yeah, like
Dang,
their Art
that
series is
sucks.
like beautiful glass, but it's expensive. Like, not compared to Canon, but compared to everything else.
Yeah, for sure. What is it like? I mean, like when you, because I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, like you are doing video production for a pretty large company at this point. Like, I mean, what is it like trying to like maintain like that creativity while doing something that is, for all intents and purposes, working for a corporate company? Like
Yeah,
you're not
so
necessarily a freelancer, you know?
it is interesting because like what's nice is we have a pretty good variety of what we're doing. Our team used to just be like, we call it the direct to home team, and it's literally like we have a sales force of like thousands of guys that go knock doors every summer, and they sell Vivint, like it's like a security smart home solution.
Hmm.
And like we had never until this year put money into marketing, so like our sales force that goes door to door is literally our marketing department as well. So they're just like trying to like, hey, this is what we offer, are you interested, whatever. So we were making videos just for them, training videos and like motivational stuff. It's like their pay structure is kind of like, you build a team, you get an override pay off of like anybody that you've recruited. So it's kind of like an MLM, but it's like you're not selling weird things, you're selling like actual products
Hmm.
that are like, and you don't have to upfront cost anything like as like a rep, you just sell it and Vivint takes care of the financing. But we were only doing DTH stuff, and then the pandemic was coming and we were restructuring as a company, and they were just like, hey, like we don't need two video teams, can you guys handle what they're doing essentially? And we're like, I don't know, we think we can, like we should be able to do both, because we're doing like one or two commercials a year maybe, and then like a handful of other things, like nothing crazy. But we've done 4 or 5 like full like on TV commercials this year.
Wow.
Like we did the one with Snoop Dogg recently. So like that stuff, those big things, which are like crazy cool, are really stressful, but also like give you a ton of like energy and like excitement.
Yeah. Explain what
And
that commercial was again, because I think that one was kind of interesting and like a cool one that a lot of people were probably familiar with.
yeah, so like that commercial was basically like we kind of recruited Snoop to be our like brand ambassador for this thing, and like we're doing a couple more with him as well. But he was kind of like the homeowner, and like it's like, hey, this is what Vivint Smart Home is. Like he's gonna come install this stuff. I don't have to do anything. Actually, Nate, his name's Nathan. He was Dogface 208. He's the
Yeah.
dude from Idaho Falls, that got famous on TikTok for the cranberry juice thing. So he was hanging out with him, and they were like, hey, we can grab him for this commercial as well. So they were just
Nice.
like sitting on the front porch or on the lawn chairs, and they're like, yeah, I don't have to, like, I could do this all day type of thing, like install my own security system. But like, because our techs come and install it, and they're just like watching him do the thing, which was pretty cool to see, like grab that wave of like Nathan's like rise to fame on TikTok, and just
Yeah.
like
Perfect timing.
it was perfect timing. And plus Snoop's just a huge, celebrity. So getting him was really cool. And then it's really cool because like you see that from like start to finish. Like we were brainstorming all that stuff from for months, and like we're like, hey, this might happen, maybe it won't. Like we'll see, and like this person drops off, and like, okay, we're gonna do Snoop. Like we got to like come up with creative for that, and our creative team is super great. And like they're so smart, so funny, intelligent guys, and we all just riff on things, and like we put something together, and then the shoot happens, and you're like, cool, we just dropped a ton of money on this like production, and we got to edit it. Like we did all the post production. We hired a production company to do the shooting in LA because we just couldn't handle that right then. But we did all the editing, but specifically my roommate Adam, like he's my boss, and he did most of the editing on that, and it was cool to see. But like you get done, and it's like, oh, cool, here's the cut, and then it's like cut. You gotta have a cut for social. You gotta have a cut for Instagram, one to go on, ads and YouTube pre-rolls, and it was just like once you're done, then there's like way more work to do, which is like interesting to keep you busy. And then we do everything from like straight up training videos too. So it's like you really get like a range from like, hey, we're going to sit in the studio and like you're going to train on how to sell this stuff or train on how this product works, and like doing product videos for customers, like how explaining how it works. So it's like literally like, I don't want to say boring, but like simple educational stuff that's like pretty easy to do. Like you don't need a ton of like creativity to do, and like you can kind of autopilot those things a little bit. And then it's like all the way to national commercials that air on national TV during like Jazz games, and you're like, what? That's crazy.
Huge. Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
It's really cool when like I'm doing a lot less video these days. I've kind of been appointed as the like head of photography, trying to point our photo program in a direction, which is really fun. It's stressful because like it's what I'm best at. Like I bring most value as a photographer because that's what I'm like my skill set is, and like the video stuff was a bonus. But like trying to like take our company's brand to a new level. Before it was like, pretty clean, sterile like shots, and we're trying to become a premium brand. Think, we're not trying to compete with ADT. We're trying to compete with Google, Amazon. Like we're trying to be a premium brand like Sonos or per se,
Sure.
like something really nice. And so trying to take our like lifestyle photography to a new place has been like a massive process. We just recently rebranded. I think we just launched our new logo and everything. The website's in final testing. Like some people will get to see it, like depending on if you're hitting the testing site or not. But the new logo's on the Jazz court right now. Like the game's going on. It's like literally on the court. It's cool to see like the orange is gone. It's got like a nice new clean logo. We dropped Smart Home. It's just Vivint now.
Nice. That's
so
cool.
Like that whole process was like a year in the making, and seeing it all come together and like, hey, we're going to run national campaigns now. We're going to like put our name out there, and like the photography on the website's got to like speak to that. Has been like quite the process and stressful, but also like really cool. And like we're preparing for our own like big brand shoot. Like we're gonna do a couple days shoot in a house somewhere, like to get more content, because we hired a guy out of LA to do like the first one to get us off the ground. His name's Noah Webb. He's out of LA, and he's super talented, super kind human, and like I learned so much just from like digiteching for him. But
that's rad.
Yeah, I'm doing my own soon, and it's like that's why we got the phase one. That's why we got the new pro photo lights. So we're gonna try and like supplement like what we started with him. That was like $150,000 shoot or something. The like putting together, like negotiating that. Hey, what if I digitech, and what if we do the like production in house and all this stuff to get the build down to something manageable. And I think we ended up with like 45 to 70, maybe 70 selects or something, which is like you get those for 2 years, and it's like that's crazy that we just spent that much money to get 70 photos. But like that's commercial photography in a nutshell. So
jeez.
Yeah, and like now we're trying to like bring more in house, so we don't have to like pay that like the licensing fees and stuff. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, Chris Lambeth, and also hello, Danny. Little kitty, the fat kitty is doing great. Danny Wolf, she commented in the chat here.
Oh, nice.
She actually painted a watercolor, a picture of my cat that I have here. That is absolutely freaking cool. Like,
oh, no way. That's awesome.
Super neat. So
good job, Danny. Jeez.
Yeah, I think she's from up there.
Yeah.
You know her?
Yeah.
Small
she's
world.
From around the way. How crazy. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to the chat. Sorry, guys. What's up, Chris? What's up, Danny? Appreciate you guys tuning in.
So it's Chris Lambeth.
Do you, I mean, like, you still get a pretty decent amount of like personal shooting time and stuff. Like, do you miss like other aspects of like being more freelance based? Like, do you miss other aspects of that, or do you get like all your fulfillment from what you're doing now?
It's it's been a it's been a process trying to find a balance, right? So when we started this rebrand, our CMO basically was like, "Hey, I want your guys' full attention. Like, we're gonna do something big here. We're gonna do something worthwhile, and like, I want your guys' full attention. So if you have extra stuff on the side, like, if you can like put that on the back burner, like,
Mm-hmm.
I would like we would all appreciate that, and like devote all your energy here because you're gonna get the opportunity to do something really special." And like he was right. Like doing these national campaigns and
It's
changing
huge.
the way like everything looks is really special. And so I've taken a big step back, which was perfect timing with a pandemic and all of my clients either rescheduling or canceling outright. So I was like, that worked out.
Yeah.
I do miss like coming home and wanting to work. I don't really do a ton of like, I'm going to come home and edit photos today. Like I used to do that every single day when I got off work. And now it's like, I do it all day and I'm like, I kind of just want to play video games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to kind of have like points of recognition where I'm starting to see that in myself too. Like,
Yeah.
because I also have like a regular job in marketing. Like I do a lot of video and photo production for just like my regular, I would say 9 to 5, but like my regular
Yeah.
day
We'll
job,
call it a
right?
95, but
Yeah.
we definitely work more than that.
Yeah. Salary is, that's kind of how it goes sometimes. But like, I mean, like there's still points where, I mean, doing this, like this show and what I'm doing here is like something that I've just enjoyed doing. Like it's something I've always just wanted to do.
Yeah,
And so
for
like
sure.
this for me is very much like a I want to go play video games, but at the same time like there is like a component of work to it.
Yeah.
And so like it's hard because I'll catch myself using my work as an escape as opposed to using an escape as an escape, if that makes
Totally.
sense.
Yeah,
So like you catch
absolutely.
yourself like editing or like you'll catch yourself like working as like your distraction from whatever. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, damn, I need to go mountain biking or like do something. I need to go skate, like something to like get out and not
Yeah.
find myself just continuing to work and work and work.
Yeah, and like I think this year has been the like most important year to find balance, which has been really hard because you can't do a lot of the things. Like I'd go to a show a month at least, and it's like
Hmm.
that's gone. Like a lot of the things I want, I can't. I don't go and hang out with my friends. It's like occasionally we'll have dinner or something, but it's like at their house and we're all like, hey, everybody's good, right? Like you got to do all the checks, and
Yeah.
it's like it just I'm not doing the thing. And like I know I've gone a lot further than most people here, at least, like trying to take things more seriously. Like I have like 12 like it looks like underwear, Jesus. Like like pretty decent looking masks, like because like I'm
Yeah.
like, well, it's got to match my outfit if I'm gonna wear it every day, and like it's got a filter in it, and I try to wear it as much as possible, like at work, even around at my desk. It's like just trying to like take care, especially when we're on shoots. Like those freelance people that we hire to help us, like if we get them sick, they're out of work. Like they don't get paid. Like we have salary, and like
Yeah.
I'm okay, but they're not. Like that's just like you're putting them at
Or
risk.
insurance. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like I
mean,
have insurance, and like I'm fairly healthy, so I think I'd be okay. But you never know, and like I don't want to put myself at risk either. So it's like we just got to be smart. But around the office, like people aren't really doing it as much, and it's really frustrating. But we're just trying to
yeah.
do our best.
Yeah, I was very fortunate in our office, my regular job, like they took it very seriously and we're just like
Yeah.
from the jump, they're like, whatever you guys want to do, like you're good with. And yeah, I mean, same thing with shoots, like for shooting weddings, everything for weddings completely postponed.
Right.
I'm looking at a good possibility of even the ones that have postponed taking a second postponement.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
If it's not like if it's early summer, it's like yeah, you should probably reschedule.
I got like April, May, like I got some
100%. Yeah.
earlier ones, and it's like like even if they want to, it's like I don't know if the venues are going to be open. Like I don't know if they're going to be allowed to, because a lot of them are in
Right.
California and Oregon, and
Yep, and they're shut down
They're
totally.
yeah, they're shut down. Like Bay Area, like outside of LA, like there's LA's rationing ambulances and stuff. Like I don't
Yeah,
think
we're
they're
hitting threshold. Like literally yesterday, we hit 4,000 deaths, man. Like
yeah,
that's insane.
madness, madness. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough to try to gauge like what to do with all this time because, I mean, to your point, like we're in this weird time where you transition perfectly right out of like that uh, into being more serious with just at Vivint, which is perfect.
Yeah,
And I'm kind of like, I have more free time on my hands because I can't shoot. Like my second job is basically gone,
yeah,
and so now I'm just like, all right, well, we'll just keep on keeping on. Like I think
yep,
I've had like maybe two shoots, three since lockdown,
yeah,
and it's been like very sparse, intermittent. Like, all right, let's go out to the foothills. Like, there's
mm-hmm,
nothing going on,
yeah.
and
I
like
think I had an elopement, and that was it.
I'm really fortunate that like I don't have to bank on my wedding photography in order to pay my bills. Thankfully, like we're so fortunate
No,
in that way, but there's a lot of people that are not in that position and like it's I don't know, I feel really bad. That's a really
yeah,
tough thing, especially when you're trying to make a go at it. Like that's
yeah,
already a scary enough thing to try to go through and then you got to try to fend for figuring out when you're even going to be able to start producing income again. It's
right.
tough.
And it's like, are people comfortable doing it? And it's like, are these vendors okay? It's like, there's like a whole this whole industry is disrupted completely, and it's like, man, I know so many people that are just like, holy shit, I don't know what to do. And like a lot of my friends and that do it are like, hey, if I need to, I can always go back and work in the restaurant industry. A lot of people are servers in the past or bartenders, but that's dead too. So it's
Yep.
like the backup plan got blown up too, and like nobody saw that coming.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing that's also bizarre is like just thinking of with photography as that's changing and like as we're trying to figure out like where everyone's comfortable at, like you also run into another thing where it's like, okay, well, like you have to like do this weird dance of like, okay, well, like are you comfortable like if we go outside somewhere and like I use a telephoto lens and like I'm not
Right.
up in your like and then you got to do like this weird dance of like, okay, well, like what's on a scale of 0 to 100, what's your comfort level with meeting in person? Like
Yeah.
I don't know, that's frustrating. I mean, I understand why obviously, but it's frustrating just because it's like I I wish we didn't have to deal with that at all, you know?
Yeah. And
And
it's like, dude, the way I shoot with a 35, and I get up in there and get the emotion, like that's like how I feel like I pull emotion out. And it's like, well, I can't do that. Like, I guess I'll shoot with like an 85.
I know. And yeah, it just changes everything, which, you know, that's not the end of the world, but I think it's also it's tough because you want to be accommodating to different people's comfort levels and different like respect everyone, but at the same time it's like, okay, well then where are you drawing your personal line at?
Yeah.
And
And it's like, can I not do this and survive? Can I eat? Can I pay my rent? Like a lot of people are like, well, I'll do how many like I know Jenna, she's like, okay, if I do a shoot here and then I can quarantine for 2 weeks to make sure I don't get anybody sick. And it's like she had a wedding that was 350 people. I don't know if we talked about this last time, but like
jeez.
they were in the county wasn't restricting, and she was like, well, I can't in good conscience like hire someone else to take my place, because she's like, I don't really feel comfortable going there and doing that and being around all these people that probably aren't going to wear masks. And then it's like, but it's like, what if I hire someone and they bring in the sickness and
Mhm.
get my clients and family sick, like, or they get sick because I hired them? And it's like I just have to go and then quarantine for 2 weeks and hope I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it puts a lot of people in a weird position.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's
Because
also
there's no
like,
support from the government. We've literally had to like put ourselves in really bad spots to eat.
yeah. And I mean, it's also weird because then it's like we're like we're planning our own wedding. Like
Yeah.
Talia and I are planning our wedding, and by planning our wedding, I mean literally doing nothing because what can you do?
Right.
Like I can't plan anything. Like I don't know a date. I can't plan
You're like
around a venue.
2022, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally just talked with a client yesterday, and they're like, "We're thinking about doing our engagements in 2022. Can we put a deposit down
Yeah. And
for
like normally you're
engagements?"
like, oh my God, that's so far away. But it's like, oh, all my other clients have pushed to 2022. Yeah, I don't have a ton of
Yeah,
space.
I literally was like, because she's like, well, so I shot a proposal for them actually, and then
Hmm.
I followed up and I was like, hey, I'd love to do some more work for you guys, and they're like, okay, well, we're not getting engaged until 2022. Like, is that too far out for you? And I was like, normally I would be like, yeah, let's reconvene. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
stressed about getting you booked in, but now I'm just like, if I were you, like, you might as well, like, at least just, you don't even have to put your hard deposit down. I'll pencil you in if you want,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you if someone else asks about the date. But like, I have no idea what's going to happen. So if you want to start planning for 2022, I'm on board because I got nothing else going on right now.
Yeah.
So, and dates are getting picked up pretty quick. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird, man. And like, I do feel super blessed to have a corporate job.
What are the
Like
chances
there's,
of saying that like 5 years ago?
I
This sounds
know. And
so
like, the
weird.
thing is, like, I was talking with Jenna about this the other day, and I was like, she's like, well, what did you think, like, making it meant? And I was like, well, I don't know. I guess I had like a successful studio and I was like, had my own space that I was renting and I was killing it, like doing weddings or commercial work. I don't know. I didn't really like have like this is what I need to make it. But like, I don't know, man, like the opportunity where I'm at to like pad my resume with what I'm doing and like get the experience doing commercial work every day for a salary, and I don't have to foot the bill for the equipment. Like it's actually a pretty sweet gig. I'm
Yeah.
super lucky, and like it's got great benefits, which is like something like you take for granted when you have, like, I used to work for the government, so like I always had that, and then it's like, oh, if I was freelance I'd have to be in the marketplace, and that's garbage.
Dude, yeah. Good luck. If you're trying to get your own insurance right now and you're freelancing, like, good luck. Like,
Yeah,
I commend those of you who can afford to pay for your own dang insurance. Like, it's so expensive. Like, it
it's
really
like
is.
thousands of dollars, and it's garbage.
Yeah. And I mean, can it be done? Sure, absolutely. But
It makes it
I think
harder.
you have a really good point of like, there's so many niceties that come with the perks of that can easily outweigh like what a freelance is. I think you're right there though with the idea that we all, I think, have this rose tinted version of what freelancing is, and like
100%.
freelancing is dirt bagging it, dude. Like it's tough.
And it's stressful, and like the
It's really
client like
stressful.
interface can be really shitty sometimes, and you're just like, oh my God.
I mean, the thing that I'm finding that's the hardest for me is like, so my day job, I do marketing for an SEO firm.
Right.
Like, we do SEO. My website, my own personal website's SEO is trash.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
And like I know it is, and I'm embarrassed about it, but like it just is. Like I don't have time to work on it. And like that's
Yep.
the thing that you forget about like when everyone idealizes like freelancing is like you don't have a team of people like working on like your marketing. You don't have other people
Hmm.
helping you with your SEO. You don't have other people writing content for you. You don't have like this huge support system that can help build up like really awesome projects that you can be a part of.
Doing your accounting.
Doing your accounting. Yeah, I finally caved and paid someone else to do all of my accounting and all of my CPA stuff this year because
Yeah, it's
it's
a nightmare.
it's one of those things that just saying taxes gives me anxiety. I'm like, pass. Nope. I don't want anything to do with it. Count me out.
Yeah,
And
dude.
so, yeah, I just hate it. So it's like, you forget that you have to pay someone else to do all those other things, and it's everything adds up so quick. And yeah, there's a lot that's really fun about freelancing for sure, but I can't imagine trying to freelance right now, especially if I was only doing weddings.
Oh man, I know. And like it's it's crazy. Like it stresses me out. And like I know Jenna's okay because like she's super smart with like we both come from like we were poor at one point in our lives,
Hmm.
like real poor. A lot of people are poor for the first time, right
That's
now, and
true.
that's hard. Like when you like grow up and you've like had hardship, you're like, oh yeah, I can eat ramen. Like I'm good. I can go back to that if I have to. But a lot of people like when you're doing it for the first time, that's tough, man. Like when you're accustomed to a lifestyle and then you have to go backwards to something you've never done, that's dang near impossible.
Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned, like I don't, have to have my photography income as like a means to an end, but like it for sure is like a lifestyle padding for us.
Totally. It's like bonus money. It's like what I
Yeah,
buy my gear with. It's what I like buy extra crap
exactly.
for my truck for.
And it's like I mean, we've for sure taken notice of that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's, you know, during a good year, like you'll have a few thousand extra bucks like floating around like each
Yeah.
month. Like it's great to have that
Yeah.
and just be like, oh, okay, like this is something where I can like this is like my money to like this is my money to like do other stuff with. I don't have to worry about my bills for the moment. Like and like
Yeah.
when that's gone, like yeah, to your point, like lifestyle changes is a real big shift for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. And like I haven't like I traveled a lot last year, which I was feeling a little guilty about because I went to Switzerland and Iceland, Jamaica, like
Dang, jet
Mexico.
setting.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. And I was like, man, I spent so much money. And now this year I'm like, well, no, I'm glad I did because like we can't go anywhere.
Seriously, dude.
So like it was nice, but like yeah, like I miss being able to spend that money slash go on see these things, get out of here during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Like man, it's like well, I can't go anywhere. Like I can't even go home to see like my hometown to see my family. So it's like I'm just chilling here in the basement.
Yeah, I mean that's the other part that's I think draining a lot of people is everyone's looking for some sort of like social connection and like
Yeah.
yeah you can get some but it's pretty limited. Like even
Hmm.
like I very similar to you like we'll have dinner with friends every couple of weeks or we'll have like a dinner get together or something and it's like you even get like a slight amount of guilt from that, but it's like those small
100%.
little interactions, like, I
Keep you
mean,
sane.
it's barely enough. And it's like, that's even another reason that I'm really interested in doing this. Like,
Yeah.
the whole premise behind this show was not to do it over Zoom. Like,
Right.
this is not the plan. But, I mean, it's the plan for now. Like,
Yeah.
what else can you do? And I mean, like, I want to like keep talking to interesting people, and I want to like keep doing like hangouts and being able to face see people in some capacity
Yeah.
because yeah, it does start to wear on you, and it does get like it drains you when you're like, oh, I only see people in 2D now.
Yeah.
It's
And
weird.
like the Zoom fatigue is real, right? You're not getting that like and like even like mask fatigue, I think it happens because like our office we're in the office quite a bit, but like everybody's wearing like on my team wears masks, so it's like you don't get that visual feedback straight away. Like you got to really read the eyes,
Hmm.
it's like you don't get the smile back from somebody. You're like, oh, are you smiling? And it's
That's a
like
good point.
those like visual cues that are, or like just being around other people. Like I get a lot of energy from being around people,
Hmm.
and it's been hard because like yeah, my team we're around each other. We're basically like family, live in, like we all sit within you know a big room together, but like I have desk facing someone
Sure.
else, and like if I didn't have that, if I was like back on just work from home only, like that was hard. And
Dude,
like
it
we
is
all try
hard.
to do our best. We have like a temperature check at the front desk. Like we're trying to do our best to keep things safe, but we can't do this creative work that we're doing away from the office, like on Zoom. you just need to be in the room, like riffing off each other or like bouncing ideas. And like, if we're not careful, we won't be able to do that. And that's super important that we're all safe.
Yeah. And I mean, that brings it back to the original frustration, which is like, man, I wish that they had just been a little bit more strict about this from the beginning so that,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I know that that's not a perfect solution because there's other parts of the world that took it super mega serial and
Right.
they're still in bad shape. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. I think that you have to do everything you can and just try to like move forward. But it makes it tough. Like our marketing team we're not a ultra heavy creative team, meaning like we're not producing like massive multimedia content.
Right.
But like even that transition of going permanently, because we closed our offices permanently. Like that's
Right.
a big reason for having this studio is because we still had to have somewhere to film, and
Mm.
it kind of fit where it served two purposes. But I
Yeah,
mean,
you literally can't do the job without being in person at some point.
yeah, for sure.
And it's like,
And
okay, crew's all masked up, and like when I have to do events and stuff too, it's like I'm like wearing double masks. I'm like
well, even here, like in my office here, like I'm the only one here. And
right,
in the building I'm in, I see maybe two people a day, maybe. And by that,
right,
I mean they walk by the door. Like I don't actually talk to anyone when I'm here. I'm by
yeah,
myself all day, every day. And
that's
like
tough.
it is tough, but like genuinely, like I think our company does pretty much daily Zoom calls, like for just meetings, like because we had daily in-person meetings, like
Right,
morning briefings, basically. And like honestly, like those have been like a godsend. Like just as weird as that is to say, like just having some sort of like human interaction to look forward to
totally.
is like, man, that sounds really depressing to say out loud, but yeah, like I was looking forward to this Zoom meeting, but really, like it's something where you can just kind of like bullshit about your day a little bit for a few minutes before you get
Yeah,
back to work,
like
and yeah,
yeah, over Christmas break, I was missing the guys. It's like we're super close, and like that relationship's really important to me. And it's like we all kind of unplugged for the break because we went really hard last year, and
hmm
but like I was ready to go back. Like Jenna was here, which was super great to have her here, but I was also craving that other relationship that I wasn't getting
totally,
because like we all unplugged so much. It was like, dang man, like that's a big relationship for me. Is like the 6 people that I work with every day. Like we're like family, and we're lucky that our team is as close as we are. Like that's not normal, but
but
it
I
helps.
mean, if you guys are all a bunch of creatives and you're working together on projects and you all have to be providing creative feedback and input into various aspects of something, like I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I've been on like production crews before and stuff, and like you do get like a pretty good sense of camaraderie because you have to. It's long days, and
Yeah.
like you
You're
have to
like
be
killing yourself
coordinating.
for it.
Yeah, and
Like,
I think that like the technology aids it, but it's still really hard. Like I had to meet up with one of my former business partners today, just to one of my good friends, and pass off some documents and stuff. And man, seeing him for 5 minutes was cool. And it
yeah.
was just like,
Like it's like MagSafe charger. You're like kind of like plug into them really quick and download some energy. You're like, oh,
yeah,
thank you, man. Like you just feel better from like that human interaction. I know introverts kind of have like an opposite thing, like, oh, I need to be alone to recharge, but everybody needs a little bit of that
yeah.
human
There's a
interaction.
point. There's a point. Like I feel like I'm kind of middle of the road. I feel like I'm very outgoing, but I definitely appreciate like my own alone time for sure.
Totally.
But I mean, yeah, it's like one of those things that I've actively had to try to train myself to reach out to like friends more often, like because
Yeah.
I naturally just sort of isolate myself just a little bit. Like I'll just kind of like not reach out to anyone until someone else talks to me, and I'm just
Yeah.
really bad about that. But like especially during like lockdown and stuff, like I just had to make a habit of like find 3 people and just like text them and be like, hey, what's up? What are you up to?
Yeah,
And
that's a great idea because like I'm by default kind of a shitty friend. Like like I'll come to the like if you invite me, I'll come, but like I'm really bad at like initiating all the things and it's like well, they're like, hey, we're getting together and like if I'm like, oh, there's 6 or 7 people gonna be there, I'm probably not gonna come right now because not
yeah,
super comfortable with that. Like if there's like cool my house, which is like my roommate and his girlfriend, we all live together, and then it's like oh another couple. I'm like okay, I can handle that. Any more than that, I'm like I
you
don't feel
same.
like it's like we did it once and like we had like 6 people at the house and like somebody tried to hug me and like I literally like stiff arm. I was like whoa like I was like, sorry, like I have personal space thing right now. Like I haven't touched another person. Like I hadn't seen Jenna in like 2 months, and I was like, I haven't touched another person in like months. Like, sorry, like I can't be like my bubble is expanded to 6 feet, and that's real.
Dude, it's bizarre that I'll watch TV and I'll watch people shake hands on TV and like it gives me like a weird, like a fraction of a
Dude,
second. I'm like, don't do it.
yeah, I'm like,
Just like,
you see these like old movies and like, oh, these people are at a concert, and I'm like, oh, what? Look how close they are. That's insane.
I know. It's like it's just embedded into my mind now and I can't get it out.
I think we're gonna have some serious like coming back to normalcy like
Some
things because it's
weird
like
PTSD.
yeah like I feel like if I had to sit next to someone on an airplane like I've traveled a couple of times during this just to like go see Jenna, make sure our relation keep our relationship up because she
Probably a
lives
good
in St.
idea.
Louis, but like the middle seat's open, but if I had to sit next to someone, if I had to sit in the middle seat, are you shitting me? That's not happening.
It kind of makes me realize that I just don't like being around or being that close to people in general. Like,
And like all I see is
virus
like
aside.
the exhale of like their breath, and I'm like, like, look, man, like when this all before this all started, like the last couple of years, I've been wearing masks. Like when I'm sick, like I literally have a box. Like I had a box when this started of those like black, like surgical masks.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, dude, where did you get those? Like I can't find it. I'm like, oh no, I've been wearing these. Remember, like when I was sick, I had the cold and I had to come in and I wore it, and everybody was like, that's weird, but like that's super nice of you. Like that's all I wanted was people to wear
OG
their
mask
masks when they
wearing.
were sick. Like maybe we won't all get sick so much. This is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. But if it's gonna
You started
destigmatize the
this.
masks and like, hey, you're wearing a mask. Oh yeah, I've got a cold. Cool, no big deal. Like I used to get stared at in the store. People were like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? Like, look, they do it in Japan. It's not a big deal. We should be doing this. So
Yeah.
if it like just gets us closer to that a little bit, like I'm in. I'm in for that because like I hate getting colds. I haven't got a cold or the flu for the longest stretch of time, like knock on wood, ever. Like I've always in the winter just get destroyed. Like I have a super bad cold / get the flu or like norovirus or whatever. I'm like puking my guts out. I'm like, this is great. Everybody's like, most of the people I'm around wearing masks. Like, those things aren't going into my face. Like, let's go.
Yeah. And people aren't coming up and getting right up in your face.
Yeah.
I'm
And
all
like one
about
thing,
that.
like the Apple Watch really helps with is like my hand washing time, which is super weird. Like, I was always a pretty decent hand washer, but like making sure like what I never did was like grab the thumb and like go like this and like make sure I get in between the fingers like this. I was just like, oh yeah, like wash the hands for a minute, like get around it all. But it was never like, oh yeah, make sure you get in the fingernail beds because like and like touching your
Really
face,
get in
you
there.
touch your face so much.
Dude, I've been paying attention to that ever since this started, and it is very surprising how often like you have an itch on your face.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it became like a weird. I was like, damn it, like I can't stop touching my face.
Yeah.
Always.
That's it's like and
As
like
I
I wear
touch my face.
contacts, so I'm like, oh, wash my hands really good before I take them out or put them in.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where the hell all this is going, but I know that the world is in a weird place right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, man. Where do we go from here?
Hopefully, like I don't want to go back to normal. Like normal wasn't like we can come out better, I think.
I like that. I like your optimism. That's a Maybe we'll end on that.
It's hard to
note.
be optimistic after the week/year we've had, but
I
I'm
know
gonna
that
try.
wasn't even that strong of an optimistic statement, and I'm clinging on to any hope I can at this point. Oh,
Yeah, I yeah, I'm trying, and like it's a daily struggle to be optimistic because like it's hard. And like one thing that's helped me is like I'm gonna get super weird. Like there's this lady on Instagram called Sharon Says So. She's a constitutional teacher,
hmm
and like she just answers questions all day pretty much. And like I'm like, oh, this means that like this can or can't happen, and then it makes me feel better. Like, oh, they're saying this is gonna happen, but I know constitutionally that's not possible.
there you go.
And like
Finding some
things like
solace
that,
in
or
there.
like I follow. It's funny. Jenna said to me the other day, "Oh yeah, this viral entomologist I follow," and I'm like, things you would have never heard in 2019.
I know, right?
Like what? But it's
Yeah.
like I need my information from the source directly because like I'm sick of the spin. And like there's another lady I follow on Facebook that literally just like she's a journalist, but like tries to be as no spin as possible. Like I know like O'Reilly was like the no spin zone, but like actually just like here are the facts of what's happened. And like Sharon's kind of the same way. These are the facts of like this is why they're saying that this is happening and this is what's possible. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's all I want. I don't want opinion pieces. I just want you to tell me um, I just want you to tell me like what is actually happening, and that's it. I don't want your opinion. Just tell me facts because like there's too much like weird things happening. I can't deal with the opinions anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it even was not lost on me in the slightest as I was photographing like that protest like this week. I was even like very aware of looking back at the photos that I took. I was like,
Yeah.
this tells a story, and there's a very direct like narrative that's being told here. And like I was even thinking about that myself, and I was like, how much of this is influenced by my own bias?
Right.
And like that was kind of hard to even confront a little bit, because not that I think that like they need rationalization for like this protest, but just thinking of solely the idea around like how you can manipulate the context of an image based on how you crop it
Oh, 100%. And like,
or
or it's like, oh,
how
I'm
you
going to
edit.
do this with the telephoto and really compress the people in. So it's like,
They look
oh, it looks like there's
closer.
a ton of people, but maybe
Yeah,
if you used a wide angle lens, it's totally different.
exactly. And like just even like angle shots, like the particular shots of like, you know, the way that you represent people.
Hmm.
Um, and like I could see that in my own shots, and like that was a weird thing to even like see as well, because I guess I've never really had to confront that in wedding photography. Like
Yeah.
being like, oh, like I really like tried to convey like this particular message or like this feeling, and I mean, I guess I have in a way now that I say that out loud, but still, it was weird to kind of like see that in real time play out,
Yeah.
because you hear about that where it's like, oh, well, you know, photos can be misleading or whatever, and based on like perspective and angle and everything like that. But it was pretty bizarre to see it even from my own perspective and being like, oh,
Yeah.
this is, you know, a very telling way of showing this.
Right.
And, you know,
Like, I think like one really thing that stood out to me, like at the beginning of the pandemic when like, oh, there's those photos of the beach and it's like, oh, it's packed. But like you see a drone shot and like they were all within circles. Like there's literally like 10 to 15 feet. But like somebody used like a 500 millimeter lens, shot down the beach, and it looks like there's just tons of people.
yeah,
And you're like, what the hell? And then you see an aerial shot and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty okay.
yeah. And that's frustrating because it
It hurts our
hurts
like
any
medium.
message. It hurts any message because now it doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on, you can't believe it.
Yep.
And like
And I
it
think
literally
like
hurts everyone.
I love photojournalism. Like if I had another life, or if an opportunity came up to shoot for something like AP or Reuters, I would probably take it
Yep.
because I would love to try to shoot the truth, not try to spin it, which is really hard because I have my own biases. You're
Sure.
right. Like everybody carries around, like I'm very far, I don't want to say far left, but like I definitely lean left these days.
Sure.
I feel like every day I'm like going this way. But like to try to tell just the story as it is without trying to spin it in my own mind and try to separate yourself from that, I think would be a challenge and super cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like some of my most influential points of photography have been from war photographers. Like
Yeah.
W. Eugene Smith was
Yes.
easily one of the most influential like documentary editorial photographers like when I was learning about photography. One of the first
Yeah.
ones that I was ever just like, whoa.
Dude, like that kind of stuff, like I don't have the stomach to go there and like sit in that situation and do it. Maybe, I don't know. I'd like to think I do, but like, oh man, it's so cool to see photojournalism in its purest form. Like the New York Times Instagram account is so good.
Yeah.
So good. Like the year in photos that they put out every year, like I go through this like roller coaster of emotion. Like you're just like, oh my God. Like Pete Souza, did you see his documentary, by the way? Sorry to derail
haven't.
that conversation.
I haven't.
So Pete Souza was the photographer of Obama's administration,
Yeah.
and then Reagan also, I think. So he literally like was the photographer for like the most influential like Republican and Democratic president of like the recent history. And like that, I suggest anybody that's watching this stream, please go and find that documentary. I
What's it called?
think it was on Peacock. I can't remember where it's at. Watch it. Like it's emotional on so many levels, and like his perspective of like just telling it how it is, just like these are the facts, this is how it's happening, and the unprecedented access he had to Barack Obama was insane. Like he was like, I'm not going to do this unless you give me full access, and he's like, cool, let's do it. And it was the moments he captured, like the little boy who was like, your hair's the same as mine, and like was touching his hair, and like that
Yeah,
moment of like
that was a powerful
representation
photograph.
matters, and like I died. I cried so many times during that documentary. It was insane.
Yeah,
It's
it looks
so good.
It's called The Way I See It.
The Way I See It. Yep, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. I'm a big fan of Pete Souza's work.
Dude,
I would
his
love
book,
to talk to him
like-
someday.
Shade, which Jenna got me for my birthday. Let me see if I can find it. We've got a bookshelf right here. Here. So he put out a book this year, or was it the end of last year? It's called Shade, and it's basically just like a contrast of he. So he prides himself on being a documentary photographer, right? I don't have an opinion. I just shoot the facts. He changed that stance over this presidency because of obvious reasons. But like it was kind of like a tale of two presidencies. Like sometimes it'll be a tweet and then a photo, or like two different
Yeah.
photos. Like
That's
but
kind
like
of
it's
how
like
his
usually
his Instagram
just a
is.
contrast. It's like, I don't know, man. The photos in this book are incredible. The photos in the documentary incredible. Like it's so cool. So also like I'm gonna say like look at that, dude. Like get
Dude,
real.
so good.
And he like I'm sure you've all seen the photo of Obama putting his hand out waving, and it's like the rainbows coming out of his palm.
Yeah.
Because like that kind of documentary style
Dude, nuts.
photojournalism, like you got the shot you needed for the whatever, like I'm covered, and then you go and find those amazing photos. Like there was a picture of Trump speaking, and somebody found the exit sign and took a picture of him after he like it was like, oh, the election was over, and the next photo that was published essentially was like Trump, and then there's a huge exit sign. Like that
Nice.
shit is crazy. Like they're so smart.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so jealous of people that have the foresight to be able to try to like frame those things up and find those shots, because like it doesn't just happen that way. Like
Yeah.
there is a lot of meticulous thought that goes into a lot of these things. I mean, I don't know. Maybe for Pete Souza it just comes so natural that he doesn't even have to think about it. But for me, it's like the few frames that I've gotten where it's like it's composed well, it's like I put in so much damn work to get even something remotely close to like
Yeah.
usable, that I'm just like, the fact that he has just banger after banger, like it's just like such amazing work.
Yeah. And
And you're
it's
just
like,
like, what?
how? And like, as like, that's why I was good. I feel like I was good at wedding photography because like like I think you have to be empathetic, like a very like not
Yeah.
just like I have empathy for other people, like as an empath, whatever you want to call it. You feel things about to happen. Like I know I can feel something's gonna happen with like mom. Mom is like her face is telling me something. I'm seeing something happening here. I can feel this
Hmm.
change. And I think as a photographer, you can feel this dynamic happening, and you got to be like, okay, I'm ready. And like, I'm just looking through the viewfinder, waiting for that moment that I can feel happening. And then bam, there it is. And I think Pete has it. Like, he's got it and he's just like tapped in. It's like, oh, this is like this moment is going to be history forever. And I can feel it in my guts. And I have to like make sure I capture it. And he did such a good job.
Yeah. I mean, the planning and the ability to like plan on, like it's a mix of like planning and chaos at the same time, because like I just keep
Mm-hmm.
thinking of like that rainbow shot.
Yeah.
Like the rainbow shot specifically is a perfect example, because it's like there's no way he could plan for a rainbow. There's
No.
no way that he could plan that like Obama landed at that exact time. There's no way to
Yeah.
plan like all of these different like little things that happen. But for whatever reason, like he was able to be like, I'm gonna get off the plane first. I'm gonna run down there. I'm gonna get like this exact
Yeah.
angle I know, and then I'm just gonna wait, and he's gonna hunt for that shot, and he's able just to
And
like wait and
it's like I know that he's gonna wave as he gets off, and I see this as a thing, and maybe I can line it up.
yeah. It also always makes me curious. I'm like, how many frames did he fire in order to get to that shot?
Oh yeah,
I
it's
mean,
got to be
like,
hundreds, right?
I don't want to discount Pete Souza's work, but I wonder if he like sprays and prays and just hopes that he gets like some amazing shot.
I imagine there's times where you're just like, I'm in a crowd, and I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put this up here and just like pull the
Oh,
trigger,
I'm
and
sure.
hopefully something is magical.
Which, one other thing, since we're kind of on the topic, and maybe we'll close it out after this, but the one thing that has always blown me away is like the consistency of work. You'd mentioned like the New York Times. If
Yeah,
you look at the documentary photography of any article,
yeah.
of like, I'm thinking of specifically like when Comey was testifying, and like all of those like the shots that were coming out of there where it was like it looked like studio lighting. It
It
looked
was
like
insane, and like it's garbage light. You
it's
know it was garbage.
horrid. I mean, we saw the pictures from the protests that
Yeah,
happened at the Capitol building. Like we know what it looks like inside a lot of
yeah.
these halls and chambers. Like it's
Fluorescent
trash,
lights, man.
and it's like the way that whoever is doing their color correction and their editing and their,
I
I
know.
mean, a lot of that comes down to the shooting too, of course, but man, I was blown away by that. It's impeccable.
Yeah, and you're crammed in there with 45 other people, like
Yeah.
shoulder to shoulder, trying not to be in each other's shot. It's like, what?
Dude, I think about that all the time, and I wonder how people get like some of these insanely iconic shots for like the AP. When you think about it, have you ever done like one of these? They were popular like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, like a photo walk, like with a bunch of other photographers. You just get together in your Facebook group, and like everyone goes out and shoots the same thing.
Yeah,
Like
like I've never done one, but like I've always been like, man, that seems so stressful.
it's, I've done two, um, and it was like it was weird because I was like, okay, well, everyone's just following around, and like you have like a couple or like a model or something or whatever, and
Yeah.
like you have nine people shooting the same photos over each other's shoulders, like stocked in there. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like,
Yeah.
this seems weird. I feel
And
like
like the stress for the model or the couple, right?
it reminds me of people that like go to like big game hunting camps, and like they're like just
Yeah. Here it is.
waddle out of the Jeep and like shoot a buffalo or whatever, and then
Yeah.
can
Look
like,
what I've done.
yeah, look at my achievements. It's like, oh, okay, well, you didn't really do anything to, I don't know. It always felt so weird to me. So all of that to say the fact that they can get such insane shots from that pulpit is
Yeah,
is
like
maddening to me.
you have 4 feet to work with. Make something work.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. But I man, like if I get an opportunity, I definitely take it to try to do that. Like I know that job is so hard to be on the road, to be you got to be in DC, you got to be in LA, you got to be here, and like a lot of it's like in your own vehicle or yeah,
Yeah,
we'll reimburse you and it's net 60 and you're just like fronting the cost for a lot of this stuff like
yeah,
but
that's
man,
brutal.
I think it'd be cool.
If you, there's another war photographer that I actually follow pretty closely that I've always wanted to talk to. His name is Benjamin Lowy,
Uh-huh.
Lowy.
Let me check him out.
He was actually, I found him, he was being interviewed by Jon Stewart like years ago for a
Really?
book that he put out. I am gonna blank on it now. It was somewhere in the Middle East. It was either Afghanistan or Iraq, I believe. But he did a series of shots like through a Humvee window, and it was like through the
Really?
port. It was like through the porthole of the Humvee, and so it was like
Mm-hmm.
this little rectangle box. And
Is it this dude here?
yeah,
Bald guy?
yeah,
Got it.
yeah, Benjamin Lowy.
I'll give
But
him a
yeah,
follow.
he has some really great work. Him and his wife actually were both embedded war correspondent
Jeez.
photographers, and
That's wild, man.
yeah, he's done some really insane work. He had a photo of when Hurricane Sandy hit New York. He had a photo that he took on his iPhone that was on the cover of Time magazine. Was it Time? I'm 90% sure it was Time magazine, but like he's put out some incredible work.
Dude, his stuff is crazy cool.
Yeah, and he's done like a bunch of different assignments and stuff. But I've really
That's
liked a
dope.
lot of his work. But the one that stuck out to me in general, or in particular, excuse me, was the the series through the Humvee windows, and it was
That's
like
cool.
you just see like these women like sweeping in front of their homes and stuff, and like you're just seeing like mostly darkened interior of a Humvee and stuff rolling by. It's
Right.
crazy. It
You're
was
just
super
like,
cool
okay, I
though.
can see it out of this eye, and this is gonna happen coming up.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It was crazy.
That's
But
cool.
all right, man. Well, it's we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. It seems like it flew
Dang.
by. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on and I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know we've had a couple of technical snafus here and there, but yeah, it
Yeah.
seemed like this one went really well.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me, dude. And anytime you want to chat or if you want to do like just a Zoom hang with some photographers, I'm always down.
Dude, always, I'd love to.
Cool.
Awesome, man.
Well, stay safe, man, and have a good evening. Have a good weekend.
Likewise, I will talk to you later. See you, man.
Sounds good.